You know, this really is a whole new show. Have you all felt it? Have you seen it? Do you know what I'm talking about? You know, it's about making connections. It's about accelerating the arrival of the ITS future. Yesterday, we had the distinct honor of hearing from former Transportation Secretary and hometown hero, I might add, Norm Mineta, who presided over our nation during a very difficult time, and that was 9/11. Today, we hear from former Transportation Secretary Rodney Slater, who himself presided over the rise of this new age of intelligent transportation systems. So I have to make a little confession. I am the proud daughter of an Arkansas State Highway Commissioner. In my home state of Arkansas, there are 2 roads, 2 bridges, a tunnel, and a ballpark named after my father, Bobby Hopper. And as a child, transportation was as likely a topic at our dinner table as what I learned in school that day. And a likely dinner guest for us was my dad's fellow highway commissioner, Rodney Slater. Secretary Slater and I have known each other for 30 years. I hate to say it. It does age us a little, but it's true. And I have to say, in addition to all of the great distinction that he's brought to the people of Arkansas and to the United States of America, he's just really an overall great guy. He flew all the way out here today to be here with you and me to where he could turn around and fly back to the East Coast tonight. He served our nation with distinction under President Clinton, and his inclusive approach to problem solving has earned him tremendous respect on both sides of the political aisle. His work at DOT forever expanded policymakers' appreciation of transportation as more than simply concrete and steel and asphalt. He has a lot to say about what's happening in the intersection of technology and transportation for our nation, for its policies, and we'll talk a little bit about it, but in his own household. So please join me. It's a very personal welcome to Secretary Rodney Slater. Yesterday we had the opportunity to talk with Secretary Mineta, who adores you, by the way, and I know you adore him. Definitely. As well. We talked a little bit about ways in which he saw transportation having to be improved really just immediately after 9/11. You know, you were really the first secretary to use big data to improve transportation. And you saw patterns being revealed of human behavior that really helped us to figure out how to move forward in the intelligent transportation field. How successful do you think we've been since you stepped out of the role as Transportation Secretary to what you're seeing now?
Well, I'm very excited to see what we have currently and what we have in store. During our tenure, there was a lot of focus on this new generation vehicle. We actually had an initiative that we engaged the automotive industry on and labor, and it was the Partnership for a New Generation Vehicle. And that was designed to really help us to become more competitive on the global stage, because at the time, we really were not quite as competitive as we, frankly, needed to be. But then I think one of the most significant things to occur during the Clinton administration was the President's executive order that would allow GPS in its most sophisticated form to be used in a commercial sphere. And there again, you have an occasion where research, R&D investment used for military purposes being allowed for commercial use. And I mention that because I think that underscores the important role that government plays when it comes to investing in innovation. I know we're going to hear more about that from Greg Winfrey in a little while, but this administration has already talked about investing some $4 billion to bring the autonomous vehicle to life. And so that is a major commitment. The President has been really a leader and a leading voice in this effort. Secretary Fox has been to this area of the country many, many times to unveil initiatives that speak to this question. I know that he was at Google when he unveiled his Beyond Traffic report that looks out to the year 2045. So this is a very important area for this kind of discussion, and you're just seeing more and more the automotive industry, the communications industry, and the technology industry sort of coming together, merging together and the autonomous vehicle is probably the most significant example of that partnership.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, not everyone thinks of themselves as being ITS, right? So we, in this kind of audience, know what intelligent transportation is, but a lot of folks are in intelligent transportation without calling it ITS.
That's right.
And you've been in your own private practice now. You've been constantly working to kind of close that gap to try to explain to folks, you know, what is the demand, what's the capacity, what does ITS mean? You've been successful in bringing those public and private partnerships together. So tell us a little bit about the work that you're doing and what you're seeing in those collaborative partnerships.
Well, first of all, if I may, I'd like to just introduce Dr. Sue Martin, who's here. She's the interim president of San Jose State University. As you know, they educate a number of engineers and really supplies the largest number of engineers to the tech community of any institution of higher education. But she was the president of my alma mater in Michigan, Eastern Michigan University, and there again, I think you see these two communities coming together. But I've always tried to connect people. When I was secretary, and even before that, Federal Highway Administrator, I tried to hit the road, and in doing so to bring people together, because at the end of the day, you need people working together to do big things. There's no way for a city or a state, and for the federal government, for that matter, to do all that needs to be done. There's no way for the private sector alone to do all that needs to be done. And while we have a lot of private sector engagement in this area and in this arena, again, I want to go back to DARPA and talk about DOD and its investment in R&D, the National Academy of Sciences, NASA. I mean, if you look across the federal government, you see entities investing significantly in R&D and thus bringing about not only the internet, but the application of the internet to be used. You know, you've got AOL that connected us to the internet, and then you've got Google and Facebook and all of these companies building a platform on the internet that connects us. And now you've got this third wave that Steve Case talks about, where the internet industry is actually going to touch what are called real-world industries, healthcare, transportation, and the like, to really revolutionize those industries across the board. That's what the future holds, but it takes a collective effort. It takes people working together. It takes all of us seeing that vision, developing it, and then making it real.
We're going to be hearing from Amazon Web Services here in just a few moments, who are pushing things into the cloud, right?
Yes.
The cloud-based infrastructure for making this work. Now, you've worked with federal government, you've worked with state governments in an effort to try to deploy ITS to make this technology worthy of funding. I think the issue that we've been talking all week is about funding. Yes. There's never enough funding. So what do we really say about this? I mean, what can we do? And like, you know, we've had several of our state DOT heads say, I want to invest in the technology, but I want to do two things. One, I have to balance it with my traditional infrastructure. And secondarily, I don't want to buy Betamax, right? So what do you say to them?
Well, the global automotive industry has invested well over $100 billion in moving us towards this autonomous vehicle network of late. And that's not even counting the kind of investment that you're getting from, you mentioned Amazon, and from Facebook and Apple and all of the other players, AT&T, Verizon. I'm actually on the board of Verizon, and telematics is very, very important to a company like that. So I think you're going to see continued significant private sector investment. But as I mentioned earlier, with the administration saying we're going to put $4 billion on the table to help push this effort forward, that's a significant investment as well. And then the $40 million effort that you'll hear more about soon about connecting cities, connected cities, that too is an example of the administration stepping up. But we're going to have a new administration soon, and I think it's very important.
I was going to ask you about that. Do you mind going there?
No, I don't mind.
Because, you know, a lot of people would say, oh, goodness gracious. So we've got, you know, so this administration has made enormous advances,
yes,
right, in not only helping to define ITS, but more importantly, to help deploy ITS. Now we have to make an administration change.
Yes.
And at least right now, it looks like it will either be a President Clinton or it will be a President Trump. I mean, when you're sitting and you're thinking from a policy perspective, how do you look forward to say, how do we continue what goes on despite the politics, what's been happening despite the politics?
Well, first of all, I think it's very important to applaud the efforts of this administration. I mean, I think that they've done two things in particular that have really been significant in regaining the confidence of the American people when it comes to the expenditure of tax dollars. You had the stimulus package early on in the administration, a significant amount of resources, and really not one incident of scandal. No bridges to nowhere, no problems. I mean, there was the issue of what was shovel-ready and what wasn't, but beyond that, really no questions about how those resources were spent. And they were spent in partnership with state and local governments. So you really had the federal government providing the resources, but the state and local governments making the decision about how those resources would be expended. And then recently you had the passage of what is called the FAST Act, which was the first time in 10 years when we've had a multi-year transportation bill. I think we were ultimately able to get there again because of not only the 40 or so states that Secretary Fox visited and members of his team visited, not only the engagement by the president and talking about the importance of infrastructure, but also some unique partnerships. Senator Inhofe from Oklahoma and Senator Boxer from California.
Right.
I mean,
That's
two
right.
people covering clearly the political spectrum, but coming together and working through the issues to give us a futuristic multi-year transportation bill. I think that that bodes well for the future because that's the foundation on which we can build. But we need more resources. And I think what we have to do is we have to talk about why those resources are important. You mentioned in my introduction that I've always said that transportation is about more than concrete, asphalt, and steel. And it is. It's about our connection to one another, connection family to family. It's about our connections to the schools that we attend, to the jobs that give meaning to our lives. Transportation is the tie that binds. It is a powerful force. It also gives us access to markets around the world. And one fear that I have is because we're not investing enough in R&D and we need to invest more, you actually have countries like Germany and China in particular trying to overtake us when it comes to technological investment. And we cannot have that if we want to be players and leaders in the future. So I think it's important to make that case to both candidates and to those who will be those down ballot candidates, the members of the Senate, the members of Congress, and state and local officials as well. I will say that I know that Secretary Clinton has already unveiled a pretty significant transportation program, and one that includes some innovative financing techniques, a global national infrastructure bank, which is something that we've been working for a long time, but a significant increase in infrastructure investment. And we'll just have to see how it all plays out. But both sides need to be engaged, and this is the kind of audience that can do that necessary engagement.
Well, Secretary Slater, the time passes too quickly.
Oh.
I know. Thank you so much. I mean, there's
My
no one
pleasure.
more eloquent. And I will just have to just quickly say that, wasn't it your daughter who decided she didn't want a driver's license?
Oh, well, we finally got her that driver's license, but she's like so many millennials.
Right.
I mean, she grew up around transportation.
She did.
She thought that the best part of my job was when I gave Santa the ability to fly beyond the regular hours of service so that he could deliver presents around the world. But she's now 23, and fortunately she's lived in cities where you have really good infrastructure and transit in particular. And so she wanted that smartphone. And by the way, cars are becoming devices. I mean, if you look at the dashboard, it almost looks like that smartphone now. And cars in the future, and car companies in the future, are going to be transportation company. So hopefully she'll get that license, but there may come a time when it'll be against the law to actually have a driver's license because we will be in the autonomous vehicle age.
Wow.
And it may come sooner than we think.
Difficult to imagine, but could be right around the corner.
That's right.